And this hour, we are joined by another very special guest, Allie Wing. She is founder of children's retailer, Allie, Giggle. Her company is a one-stop resource for everything baby-related, from cribs to DVDs. Her website, giggle.com, and then 10 retail stores? 10.
11 if you count e-commerce.
11 if you count the website, but 10 bricks and mortar retail stores,
right.
The very latest that you just opened in Washington, D.C. Allie, thank you so much. You have incredible insight, but you're growing in an environment when many people would think they have to pull back. You are not. Why?
I think the challenge of this year is the opportunity. It's easier in a lot of ways to think about being able to turn some of the harder cost variables in the business for the last 3 years into opportunities that I may not even be able to seize again in 3 to 5 years. So if you're confident with your basic value proposition, and in this market we were really filling a hole where the baby industry traditionally has kind of been filled with gifts and boutiques or large players, and there hasn't been a solution for making it easy for new parents where we kind of do the homework for you. And we feel good throughout the tumultuous time with that growth and that strategy. Now is as much an opportunity as it is a challenge.
Yeah, and as a relatively new parent, I can appreciate that being laid out. The more help, the better as you're getting your feet wet,
You wouldn't
so to
believe
speak.
when we told people that you were coming on. I was shocked. I don't have kids myself, but everybody had been in one of your stores, certainly here and even in other parts out in California.
Yeah, and if not shopping for themselves, for others. But so you basically went into, 7 years ago you started, so did you see an opportunity then? Because now maybe the field's a little more crowded, not terribly crowded, but for these sort of unique but upscale, a little bigger than the boutiques, but not, yeah, as you said, you have the box store players in there as well. So how did you get this off the ground? Like, were you a new parent at the time and you were frustrated by the offerings?
You know,
or lack thereof?
I'm kind of unique in the market in that I'm one of the few in the new parent market that didn't actually go in the market for that reason. I'm better because I eventually became it during the process,
Okay.
and I think that's an important lens that I now have. But I actually was an 18-year brand marketer, and I was seeing two major trends. One was the average age of a new parent was trending much closer to 30 than 20, and good, bad, or otherwise, it's just a different consumer. And at the same time, there were a proliferation of products, services, and information we could sell parents. And any of you parents know that it's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. It's amazing now. And there's not just 2 of everything. There's 25 of everything in all price ranges. So.
Right. And the industry, as it has evolved, and one of the things that we are in great contrast to is the industry has been 400 car seats with 40 different or maybe $400 different prices, and you've got to sift through it all. Or boutiques, which are mom and pops. They're gifts, but they're not a place you can go and know the thing you need, because actually parenting is hard work, will be there when you need it. And you don't really have an option when you need to move from infant car seat to second stage car seat. So what Giggle is really that edited destination to make it easier to transition from not being a parent to being a parent. And we do that with an intense sort of focus on the consumer and what they're really looking for assistance so they can make the best lifestyle choices.
Yeah, and we've talked so much about customer service over the past hour with Sean, and now with you have sort of, if anyone who's been to your website knows you have a very unique rating system where you highlight different things about the products. Talk to us a little bit about the origins of that and if that does indeed make a difference with keeping customers coming back.
It does, and boy, if I ever didn't think before, this year makes it even more true, because that is how we stay honest to our value promise of sort of best of to consumers. And what we did is, in studying the market, we figured out the 10 criteria that in some combination, and every consumer is different, they want to see a bundle of that criteria in the products that they pick, and that's how they're differentiating best. Because at the end of the day, how do you pick from 40 different car seats that all could solve an infant stage and are all safety certified? Really, you're going to look to other things like, I want multi-stage. We don't drive cars very often, so I want it inexpensive without compromising my safety standard. We're a car family, and I need the thing that allows me to do portability across cars the most easily. Those are all criteria that we sort of boiled down to this basic philosophy and said every product at the end of the day should try to deliver the highest combination of that bundle of goods. So when our consumer comes in, we're not I always say, if somebody in my store, if somebody comes in and says, what's the best stroller, and somebody actually answers with a stroller brand, they're in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble because the best stroller depends on me asking you a bunch of questions about how you live. Do you live in a high-rise? Do you take a subway? Do you drive all the time? Do you have multiple children?
You live in a walk-up.
That is exactly the way. We have to ask those questions to get you the right stroller. And that should be the difference in a giggle environment.
You've touched on, and we're going to have to take a quick break, Allie, but you've touched on something people say repeatedly. Who is going to be your customer? Is there an untapped audience rather than I love baby stuff, I want to sell kids stuff? It is seeing a need and filling it and figuring out how to do it. But right now, it's 6 minutes after the hour. We just want to welcome our radio listeners on Sirius and XM. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dagan McDowell along with Robert Gray.
And if you've got a question.
And we're so excited. Allie
We
Wing
are
is here.
excited.
Allie Wing is here, founder of Giggle and Giggle.
Okay.
See, it's 3 hours in. I was bound to slip up. Danny Babb
It's a
is
good
here, and
slip
John
up.
Rutledge is here as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Come on, that was a good.
I'll take that slip up. It's okay.
Good slip up. I'm sure you can Google giggle, but
Yes.
Give him the phone number, though.
all right, 877-249-9626, and of course, your money at foxbusiness.com. Send in your questions for Allie and for the rest of the gang.
Giggle CEO. Allie Wing is here. Allie, how is business right now? Just bottom line.
One
or top
word?
line.
One word. I mean, I'm in consumer and I'm in retail, so there's one word, and that's volatility. Everything about this year is volatility, whether it's regardless of if overall your numbers are coming in and you're happy with them, they don't load in the same way this year. There's more top-line volatility. There's supply chain volatility. There's resources volatility. There's capital markets volatility. And those all feed each other. So when I get asked that question all the time, I say everybody thinks it's really about whether people are shopping or not, and certainly that matters a lot. But actually the complexity comes in the supply chain behind actually executing the business and the volatility going around every one of those processes right now. I'll give you a good example. We just opened a store in Washington, D.C. yesterday. And you think about that and you think, oh, wow, it's great. You've got a business in this economy opening a store. Well, it's actually trying to pull that off in this market's hard. There's a developer involved, and during the process there were several restructurings in capital for the developer, having nothing to do with our business. Fixtures that go in and actually make the store look like the store are a supply chain industry right now that is in complete turmoil, and almost no matter which part of it you touch, there is changes and unpredictability that very much impact your ability to do things like open a store. And I would suggest that the regulatory environment has changed a lot. I've never had such permit reviews, such lengthy reviews, such layers of the reviews happening in really everything we do that's expansion right now. And, the theory on that is that, there's not as much expansion, so there's more bodies looking at everything. Or it's actually just shifting right now because there is this sense and this fear of what business is or will become.
And you miss taxation. That falls under, regulation and government.
Or at least we're anticipating that. But, so the complexity of the year is so much more than just the top line. And the top line's not insignificant. I'd like to think that our consumers, and we serve a more sort of an educated consumer, has always been demanding value, and therefore we've always been committed to value. And that's never easy. It's certainly not easy this year. But the complexity is actually, even the thing that is my most valued, let's say, the most popular car seat that you could get at any mass player, and of course I'll have it because it's the one everybody wants. In the history of my experience in business, I've never seen a company like that one, which is a large, well-known company called Graco, get out of stock on that bestseller. And this year it's happened 3 times. And that's just a supplier issue. Like, I can't solve that for the consumer. Right. And in our environment, an entire value proposition has come in and we have the right solution for you. So missing it, we don't have 6 others that we think are also good seconds. That's a very big complexity in this year.
John, Danny, she's digging down into the issues that maybe a lot of people overlook when they're thinking about growing a business or even starting one in this environment.
Yeah, Allie's not a person who decided she wants to start a business and then learn how to do a business. She's a person who knew what she was doing ahead of time and then started a business to do something. So this is a great lesson for a lot of the viewers about the things you think about. So many people call us and they have an idea, I want to put on a play in my dad's barn and I need $2 million. They always focus on how much money they need. I always try and drive them away from that because figuring out what it is you do that has lasting value to that customer is what will carry you through times like that. The whole notion of the promise